Hi, everybody. This is the Lucky TJ from uh, Discover the I Am Within to Improve Your Life. And I want to talk today about the location of feelings. And so, why? Why? Because what I've seen is that a lot of people seem as though they are unhappy inside because they have a lot of feelings that are going on, but they don't know that they have these feelings. So they may think these thoughts. So I recently, just now actually, was thinking about uh, something that happened with me and another guy. And the guy, I wanted to explain about 8 instructions to him about how I had set up a um, a video that was playing over at you know, a place where we both attend. And I'm not going to be there next week. So I wanted him to know how I'd set it up and how it all worked. Even though I know he has an IT background, I know that when I tell a person something, it's a lot better when I tell them specifically everything I need to tell them. And then they don't have to guess and they don't have to figure it out for themselves, no matter how great they are. And at first, when I started explaining to him, I started feeling and noticing that he wasn't listening to me, so I was thinking in my mind. Like, as soon as I told him I'd gotten the remotes and I started to explain, just that they went to the TV and also the DVD player, and then he put his hand on his hips and he said, I know how to work remotes. And I thought, okay, well, it really wasn't going to stop at remotes. And I just mentioned those so that I could tell him to pull up the USB stick that was in there. And he interrupted, telling me that the remotes weren't there this morning and that the USB stick, he didn't see the USB stick and things like that, when I was just actually just telling him out of my mouth that I had taken the remotes from where I had stored them and put them now near the TV and the setup so that he'd be able to get them really easily without having to worry about that next week. And also the USB stick was in my truck and I got that. So I was talking to him and I noticed inside myself, I felt frustrated, that I felt that I wasn't being listened to. I felt that I heard him repeating things that had nothing to do with the future setup of what, I was going to make, that I was instructing him to do. As far as, I kept feeling that if only he would listen and let me just tell him the 8 things, we would be back in the other room in the meeting that we were both in, and he would, and it would have been over with. But yet we were going back and forth with him saying stuff that was like didn't relate to what I needed to tell him really, and me feeling frustrated and me saying things and then stopping saying what I was saying, trying to figure out how to get him to listen. So I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you felt like, because this is what it felt like to me. I was busy I was trying to figure out, I was feeling all these feelings and I was trying to figure out how to get accomplished, the mission of telling him what needed to be done, and I wasn't being successful with it. And I'm now, I want you to understand something. I'm not blaming him at all. I see that everything in my life I created. I created for a reason. So I'm not blaming him. I'm not blaming myself. I'm talking about the situation because I know that these situations show up in my life, and what's great about them is that I get to learn something. I learned that I'm very controlling. I learned that I may or may not listen well. I may not communicate well what needs to be said. I may get stuck in feelings where I'm just feeling pissed off and then I walk away for a second and then try to gather my thoughts. And the whole time that I'm in that state, I'm not able to figure out the best thing to say and be in touch with my intuition, with my God self, with my, like I'm just in negative feelings, like saying thoughts in my mind, like, damn it, this guy won't listen to me. Um, all this stuff, like different things, the mental chatter. So the reason why I'm talking about it is because finally I did manage to tell him that I felt that I wasn't being listened to, which I think is a very good line. It's a very good way to, like, for me to identify my own feelings and speak them out loud doesn't blame the other person. Like, it's just me saying my truth. Like, I was able to know I'm feeling this way. And the best thing that could follow that, in my opinion, with the kind of work that I've done, is that I would ask him for something that I want and get his agreement. And that way I'd be able to, and if he, or not, maybe he doesn't say he agrees. But at that point, when I told him I felt as though I wasn't being listened to, and I said, I don't know what you know, so I've found it better to explain everything. And that way I know I've given the information to the person. And then he was like, he heard me and he was quiet. And I told him everything he needed to know that I wanted him to know. And then, of course, he did say a couple times back to the past of, oh, it wasn't there, blah, blah, blah. So these are the kinds of conversations that I find particularly frustrating. Like when people are saying like things from the past, like, that wasn't there this morning, but I get it. And when the person says it the first time, okay. But the thing about it, for me, I notice I can be very controlling. So I don't want to hear that it wasn't there this morning, particularly when I just finished telling you that I had them in a drawer in the secretary's office, and now I moved them here so they would be here next week. So I learned how impatient I can be with other people's processes, with other people telling their side of the story, with, just plain listening. So also when I left, like, so I noticed I was feeling still remnants of the conversation. Finally, it all got resolved. He knew, we thanked each other, we hugged. I apologized for how I had been later, and he said it was okay, and we talked about it. And how he said the thing that really got him to listen to me was something that I said that he had noticed many times as an IT person, that when I said that I didn't know what he knew, and he knew that there's many times when he's talked with people and he doesn't know what they know, so he needs to explain things. And although the person may know some of what or all of whatever he was telling them, that he knew he could identify with that come from, of how, I didn't know, I can't read into his mind and know exactly what he knows. So that was really great. It was a common ground for us to be able to talk. So the thing about it is, it got resolved. So long story short is, then now that I'd got home and I realized I hadn't meditated very long this morning, and I wanted to sit and meditate. It was something. One of the first things that came up as I was sitting was hearing the feelings of, like, the frustration, like talking in my mind, like, damn it, that's why I don't like trying to tell people things, like all these types of attitudes. I think that when I hear myself have an attitude like, oh, that's why I don't like doing stuff with other people. That's why other people get on my nerves. Or that's why when I'm trying to talk to people, it can be a pain in the butt. Why can't people just listen? And if just take an open mind for a minute and just listen for a few minutes, and that way everything would be said, and then we could talk back and forth. Like when I hear myself chattering that, there are feelings that are going on. And that feeling of, I noticed that actually when I got really quiet during my meditation, I asked myself, what were you exactly feeling, Tarja? What were you feeling? And I was feeling angry. It's as though I was feeling angry, not only for today's thing, but for all the times that people and I have had some sort of conversation where, it was crappy, kind of like that. But the admittance of feeling that anger that's, feeling angry can be very challenging for me, and probably for other people, which is why I'm making the video, because I think that sometimes I could get stuck feeling angry, and then when the anger won't move, like it won't dissipate, it'll just be there, and I'll be saying the same words over and over in my mind, like, I just hear them. I can feel it over and over, like, and each time I hear the same thing, like, why couldn't he just, like, shut up and let me just tell him? It's all of that kind of thing, like replaying the scene in my mind. I already know that replaying the scene in my mind doesn't help resolve it, it doesn't heal it, the feelings don't dissipate. But what does have it dissipate is when I admit that I'm feeling angry. Like all of a sudden, I just said, okay, I feel angry. And once I was able to be in touch with that anger, like I was feeling it, man. I was like, whew, Jesus Christ. Like I was feeling pissy and pissed off, angry. Not so angry I want to kill him or nothing like that. But just to feel the feelings, locating the feeling. It felt in the pit of my, not the pit of my stomach, but sort of the top of my stomach near my solar plexus. I was just feeling that all tight and balled up and feeling angry. So once I was able to just admit, ah, I feel angry, that anger just, whew, it just dissipated. It was as though all it needed to do was to be recognized. So, I'm hoping that someone gets some sort of value out of this video. And if you did, just let me know, like and subscribe, and maybe tell me some tools that you use to actually dissolve your anger. Because if my thought on my feelings is that when I don't release them and let them go, and I don't mean repress, pushing them down, like, okay, well, I don't feel this anymore. That is not true. I do feel things. And it seems as though what works is when I allow myself to actually feel whatever it is. It's not that scary. It's not that horrible. But when I allow myself to feel it, then it just goes away. And I have a peace that's about it now. So, all right, love you. And, most definitely examine yourself for places in you that would help you a lot if you just released. Because I guarantee you that when you do that, you'll feel happier than what you thought you could ever feel. So, all right, take it easy.